everyone, and welcome to the Priceless podcast. Today, with a new guest and a new topic. But before we get into that, I want to tell you that this podcast is made in partnership with the European Forum of LGBT Christian Groups. If you want to support this podcast or the European Forum, you can find the information as well as the links connected to this podcast in the podcast description. So today I want to give a very warm welcome to my next guest, and his name is Simon Niemiec, and he's from Poland. I actually didn't ask him which city he's coming from, or town, or place in Poland, but he's gonna tell it himself. So, hello, Simon, or Simon, I guess it's pronounced. I'm pronouncing it in English.
In English, it will be Simon. In Polish, it will be Szymon.
Szymon. Okay, Szymon. Welcome. How are you today?
Quite fine. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for being willing to be part of this podcast and for sharing your story, which is quite disturbing, especially to me, but I can only imagine how it is for you to go through all of this. But before we go into your story, can you let us know a little bit more about who Szymon is?
Okay, so as you said before, my name is Simon, and I'm from Warsaw. I'm a Polish LGBT activist and clergy. Also, I'm a psychologist and psychotherapist. And I'm a founder of Equality Parade as well.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. So you are a psychologist and a therapist. Is it connected to LGBT? Are you mainly working with LGBT, or is it just something you do professionally with all people?
This is just my job, so I'm working with everyone. But as you can imagine, I have also a lot of the LGBT patients, so because I'm a little bit known, so
Yeah.
So people are looking for someone who can be friendly for them. So
yeah. They need someone
but I have
they
patients
can
from
trust.
all the spectrum.
So we actually connected because of a story of something that happened to you. This is going now a few years back. I think it started about 3 years ago. Is that right? Almost 3 years ago?
2 years.
2 years ago.
2 years, in 2019.
For the viewers, I guess there are people who don't know what happened to you. Of course, there are viewers from the European Forum that had the opportunity to read some of your mails and hear about your story. Can you tell us what happened 2 years ago?
In fact, to explain this correctly, we need to go back about 10 years ago to year 2007, in fact, when I became a clergy. When I became a clergy, I became to provide the services before the parade, Equality Parade, the biggest equality LGBT parade in Poland. So I became to provide the service for the LGBTs before the parade,
which is
a church, 2007.
A church service, as much as I know.
Yes, the church service. Yes, the church service. I'm a clergy in a United Ecumenical Catholic Church. So we had this service for a long time, each year before the parade. And when I became a bishop in 2012, these public services became more visible. But and everything was quite fine. No one take care about that until 2019, when there was election year, and we had the service as usual, as every year. And some journalists take a photo from the service, and this photo went viral, and they stated that this was blasphemy and it was against religious feelings of Roman Catholics, and they sent almost 140 people sent the complaints to the prosecutor office. And let's say this way: in normal way, the prosecutor should call us as a witnesses and ask us for explanation, and he should dismiss the case because as a valid clergy, I have a full right to provide the services.
Yeah.
But Poland is not a normal country, so the prosecutor didn't call us. He called some witnesses from the Roman Catholic Church, and he is for 1 year he was collecting the evidences, and he sent police to my home, and he asked police to interrogate me, as well as other celebrants, and he also sent the paper the request to the mental hospital and mental clinic when I'm working for all my data, all my health data, both mental and physical health, and he sent the request to the court psychiatrists, he demand the answer if I'm mental stable and if it's possible to put me into the mental hospital for the rest of my life. Of course, the psychiatrist says this is ridiculous, and there is no evidences for me to be mental unstable. So after 1 year, he sent the papers to the court. It took almost 6 months for the court to proceed it, and the court refused to take the case, stated that there is no evidences for the crime, but the prosecutor a week ago sent the complaint, the appellation, so the case is again in the court, and we are waiting for the first hearing, I hope. Let's say almost 40 European Parliament members are sending the complaints to the prosecutor and to the Minister of the Justice, demanding to stop this interrogation. Also, many churches from all over the world and many organizations from all over the world are standing in my name, my favor. But prosecutor in the appellation cited that he is sure that I am offending the religious feelings of the Roman Catholics, and I should be put into the prison for 2 years.
First, I have to say
briefly the story.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm so glad to hear that you have support from different sides, from people, from churches. Yeah, it gives me the goosebumps, to know. I think that's a very important thing, to have the support of people in this case. I just have to say that I like your background. I love your cat.
I have 7.
Wow. I have only 1. Well, but let's go back to the interview. We can privately talk about cats. Maybe you can give me also some advice. I wanted to ask you about the law. What grounds do they even have? That was something that was really puzzling to me, that they're even starting this prosecution.
There is a law in Poland who said that you can go to the jail for up to 2 years for offending religious feelings. And offending religious feelings means that you should intentionally offend the object of the cult. And in this particular case, it's absolutely absurd, because there was no particular object of the cult in this service. But what the prosecutor says is that the service, because the service was close to the Roman Catholic Mass, it was offending on the religious feelings of the Roman Catholics. So, and he's basing his opinion on the opinion of the Roman Catholic priest, who said that it was blasphemy. But I think it's absolutely ridiculous. This law was invented to protect the religious minorities, but for last 5 years, let's say 10 years, when the Law and Justice became the ruling party, this particular law is used against any human rights activists, like it protects only the Roman Catholics, in fact.
Yeah.
So when, for example, when there are cases like breaking the Jewish cemeteries or destroying the synagogues or something like that, the vandalism, and the prosecutor didn't bring up the charges for the offending religious feelings.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Roman Catholic Church, is always the case about the Roman Catholic feelings.
It's scary how a law like this can kind of backfire or be used in a such a wrong way. It's worrying for me. Tell me, how did that everything that's happening, from starting with the photo of you in this being public to all this prosecution, how did this affect you privately as Shimon?
Let's say this way. Immediately after the case and it was released, the right-wing press and right-wing website starts the action against me. Like they was calling for the lynch, in fact. They released my private address of my family, address of my work. I was working in the university then, so you can imagine that for almost half a year, 6 months, I had a security guard standing in front of my door.
Wow.
Protecting me from the danger. Before that, I never had paper gas or pepper spray in my pocket. I was always feel safe on the streets. Let's say I was hoping that I'm safe. Now I'm not going out of my house without the pepper spray, and I'm not using the public transport. So I'm always traveling by my car or by my bike. And and of course I had a problem with my health. After that, I'm still under the care of the psychiatrist because of the anxiety disorder. But it's 2 years. So for now, most of my enemies don't even remember the case. So, and now the only moment when something happens, the media is starting talking about that, is after the next resolution or next information from the court. So the situation is quite stable now. But still, the public media, it's crazy, because in the last elections, before the last elections, the parliamentary elections, the public TV was using my image, my photo, like 64 times each day. They was presenting me and other Polish activists as the biggest danger for the Polish community. So I became a public enemy in the image of the right wings.
Yeah.
So yes, still I'm under danger, but I feel quite safe now, because some of the people, especially from the mainstream, they know now that the case is ridiculous. I'm sorry for the Fantusia, and she's my oldest cat, and now she's trying to tell me that, hey, it's almost 9 and I'm still hungry. So
no, but she's beautiful. She's so cute.
Oh yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She's 13 years old now.
Wow. Nice. This also affected you professionally. In what way?
Let's say this way. In Poland, if you are a psychologist or psychiatrist on any professional, and you you are asked to give the for example court decision or court opinion, you cannot be in the trial. So for last 2 years, I am not able to gain more money, for example, because you are normally paid for the court opinions. As a professional, because I am in the trial. So until the trial will be resolved, I am not able to, let's say, to work as a court professionalist. It doesn't affect me very much, but let's say it blocked me from some of my duties. And also, of course, I am not able to change my job to any job who demands the public statement of my criminal history.
Yeah.
Because I'm still in the criminal record as a suspected, under charges.
Yeah.
So until the case will be resolved, I will be not able to, for example, work in the public services.
Wow. So there was one question.
Yeah, I mean, professionally.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say, you know. I'm just listening and being quiet and just honored to sitting here and listening to your story. And yeah, I'm just amazed at what you're going through, and you just seem so strong. So yeah, thank you again for sharing this with us, and I really hope that this is gonna have a good ending, because the things didn't end as you said. What did they, when they used your photo in the public, like what danger do they actually see in you? What are they saying? Why are you dangerous?
That because I want to destroy the Poland. I want to destroy the Polish families. I want to destroy the world. And you know, the situation in Poland now is very similar to Germany in 30s. So the LGBT plus community became the public enemy, and because let's say this way, we don't have so many Jews now in Poland.
Yeah.
So the government has no other enemy to point it. So they choose to point the LGBTs, and now we became a public enemies. So amongst with the women rights, now the Roman Catholic Church in hand with the government are putting the LGBT people as a national danger. Yeah. Also, I'm in fact some kind of special because in one way I'm LGBT, and from other way I'm religious. I'm a clergy. So both for the government and for the Roman Catholic Church, I'm something absolutely terrified for them. Because I'm a symbol of that you can be religious and you can be LGBT. You can believe and you can use the words of Jesus Christ as a explanation of your love, and it's something what they cannot understand and they don't want to understand. And so you know, it's like it's hard to even explain how absurd it is. Yeah. Like for example, in the last election campaign, they was using the slogan that if the LGBT people will, if a gay people will come to the village, they will put the plug over the cows, and the cows became lesbians. You know, it's like
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
so it went so far, and it's absolutely crazy, because for example, we have a national psychologists association in Poland. And in the ethic code of this association, similar to the APA, there says that you cannot be a psychologist, the member of this association, if you are against the scientific evidences, scientific knowledge. So the Roman Catholic Church created another association, the Christian Psychologists Association, who said that you cannot be a psychologist if you are against the church teaching. So we still have a psychologist, let's say people who call themselves psychologists, who are providing the reparation or conversion therapy. And for me, for example, if we had statements from the national or international, even international bodies, who are stated that sexuality or the orientation or the gender identification is quite natural and is part of the personality, and we have a government who said that they know something different because the church says so. It means that there is chaos in the teachings. So
yeah. Okay, first of all, I want to say that it makes me so sad that we are still struggling with scapegoating minorities, be it Jews, be it LGBT, or even the majority. We're scapegoating women and, all different groups. And it's just, I'm sad that in the 21st century, we are still dealing even racial issues or all the other issues that were shown were really bad in our history. Yeah. So I'm wondering, you as a psychotherapist and psychologist, did you ever look into or think about, because I'm always trying to understand why people are doing these things. Like, do you maybe have a clue? Why are they doing this?
I can find the answer in this theory that you need to find enemy to blame for your own mistakes. So there is it comes even from the speeches of Goebbels, Hermann Goebbels, from the Nazi party, that if you want to rule, you need the country or the people, you need to show them enemy. And if you don't have enemy outside your country, you need to find enemy in your country. And we can see that. We can see that very clearly. The Allport pyramid of the hate, it shows clearly that if you can point someone and says this is his fault or her fault, or this is its fault, it became easy to smear your own mistakes. So a lot of the people don't care about the country. They care about their own wealth and their own money. So if they want to show and if they want to hide their own mistakes, the best way is to show this is the fault of, and to show someone else. And the problem is that especially in the young democracies like Poland or other countries, the church was always the power, and the teaching of the church, especially this hierarchical church, is always providing the problems, because if you don't want to change, if you don't want to go with the science or the history, it will be happens over and over. So, in my opinion, the reason is that the evil is always easier than the good. And this is why even if you are if you can remember the stories from the World War II, when they was asking after the World War II, after defeating the Hitler, they was asking the German people why they agree for that. Some of them says, we don't know, it just happens. Because if you are under the propaganda for a long time, you become believing in that.
Yeah, and I know that well. I mean, we had a war recently, so I know what propaganda does and media in this case, and how they can spread an image of different people pretty easily, especially when people feel threatened. Yeah, so I can understand. And I guess in this times, like if they are insecure, if we feel insecure, scapegoating may give us a false sense of security, of control, maybe because there is not much control, or we don't have this sense of control, so we're trying to find it where we can. What about some Catholic churches from Europe? Is there any reaction towards the Catholic Church in Poland?
Though there was no reactions from other churches in Poland, totally. There was some letters from the bishops from the other countries, but no from the official churches. Mostly because I'm a member of a very small community and very small church, so no one cares, in fact.
Yeah.
But this is also about the Polish situation. In Poland there is many churches, but most of them are under the fear of the Roman Catholics. They know that they cannot be too brave because they will be next on the list. And it started already, because the first registered church in Poland who was, let's say, gay friendly, the Reformed Catholic Church, are now under the process of the deregistration, so removing from the registers because of the Law and Justice Party. So they was too brave, and now they have a problem. So this was let's say clear signal for the rest of the churches that if you will be too brave, you will be the next. You'll be the same situation. You will lose everything.
So what is happening now? What are you doing? What are you planning? Or, according to what is happening, or this case is still continuing because they appealed the ruling. So
in fact, I can only wait. I can only wait for the court, for the decision. If there will be a case, and I think it will be, I have my attorney, and we'll go for it. And let's say this way, I know that the prosecutor will try to go both ways. Two ways. One will be to put me into the jail for at least 2 years. And the second one will be to put me into the mental hospital, and as a mental unstable person. And in the first case, that means that I will be punished, and I will not be able to take any professional public job until for the 10 years. And in second situation, I will if they will put me into the mental hospital, it means that I will be there for the rest of my life.
No.
So we'll be fighting to the end, to the very last moment. But I know also that if the situation became too dangerous, I will leave the country because there is no other option.
Yeah.
I will not go to the jail for sure.
The next question that comes to my mind is, how are you dealing with all of this? What keeps you going? I know that, people often seem from the outside very strong, but there are many, let's say, even wars and conflicts happening within ourselves. What keeps you going? What keeps you strong? What keeps your faith up?
First is the faith. First is the faith, and I believe that God is on our side, and I will not be left alone. Second is my family, my partner, my cats and dogs, my friends. Also, I have a support from the psychiatrist and from the psychotherapist. I'm on my own therapy. And of course, the community, the people. I have my daily mass. I have my daily prayer, and I know that it's for a good reason, because even in the darkest times, there is a light. There is a hope.
Yeah.
And we, it's tragic because we was there. We was there. We know how it is.
Yeah.
Our country, not only our but your country as well, remembers. We still have living people who remembers the World War II, and we know what the Holocaust is. We know what the discrimination is, and there is still hope that it will not happen again. So. In Poland, we have the motto that you have hope until you are breathing. So I'm breathing, so I have hope.
Yeah. The thing is that I would like to hear or know your opinion on is, I hear that you see the light, that you see some light behind this, and I can see the light too. I can only imagine how this can also contribute to making Poland a better place for LGBT plus people. But at the same time, we have the saying in Croatia, like, things are breaking on your back. Like the darkness is right now happening to you. So how do you keep your faith? Like, people so often in these situations say, why God me? Why me? So how do you even have this question? How do you deal with this aspect?
Yes, of course. I had a dark nights, and sometimes I'm crying and asking Lord, why me? And when I had this dark night and I opened my Bible, I found the gospel story that Jesus said that to his apostles, that you will be putting into the trials because of my name, and you will be punished for believing. But there is a light on the end. And I'm not an apostle. I'm not a hero, but I'm a believer. So I know that everything is happening for the purpose. Also, when I'm looking for my story or my life, sometimes I'm reading my autobiography and what I published like 10 years ago. And I'm looking for myself now, and I know that everything what happens to me in my life had a purpose. When, like, for example, now when I had a patient and she came to me and says, "Oh, I have a problem like that," and I immediately had the flashback from my own history and can use it, like my own experience. And I know that every day and every experience I have give me some knowledge, some tools. Also in my clergy way, because it's easy to be a clergy of the major denomination when you have everything and your only duty is to go to the church every day and say a mass. Okay. And you have money from the government and you have everything. It's easy. But I think the true way of being a Christian and true way of being a clergy is to go to the down, to the deepest of the darkness, and try to help yourself and try to help others, like I'm doing now. So I'm finding my strength in helping other people and helping other God's children, in fact.
Well, you are saying that you're not a hero. I can connect to that, what you're saying, and I know you don't feel like a hero, but believe me, I find it amazing what you're doing, and I see how much this can contribute. I mean, you could have left Poland a long time ago. So, all I can say is thank you, and I do believe you are a hero. We are mostly looking at heroes. Heroes are those people who are always strong, never cry, they don't question, they don't have a hard time, they're just going, and they know their power. But I don't believe in heroes like that. It's people who actually.
I have a lot of heroes like that in my in my office. Psychologist office, believe me.
Yeah. And I think that true heroes are actually those, who go through dark times and even doubt and cry and, have a hard time, but then, still find a way to get going, and even are willing to show their vulnerability like you are. And thank you for being willing to inspiring us. But of course, I want you to be safe. So, keep a good amount of being a hero. Don't go all the way.
Believe me, I have a great break. Let's say this way, the security break. It's my partner. When I have when I sometimes when I became too let's say dramatic or too heroic, he catch my back and says, "Stop, enough." It's too dangerous.
Yeah, good. So it's like the voice of the angel that is saying you, okay, now it's time to stop, hit the brake.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear. I think that having a partner in this, someone who is next to you and can catch you at the end of the day and give you a break it's a marvelous thing when you can have that. Yeah,
it's really important.
So we don't know what's ahead of us. I am so often thinking, even in Croatia is a Catholic country like Poland, and there are other countries they're struggling the same, like, well, not the same like Poland, but it seems like they're kind of like behind Poland, and the Catholic Church is in some countries. I know in Croatia, they're looking at Poland as the perfect example of what the church should be like. Well, at least some are. So, there might be other people who are listening to this and who are maybe experiencing similar things to what you are experiencing. What message would you give to them? Advice, message, or something that you would like to tell them?
There is an old saying that if you want to help others, first you need to help yourself. What I want to say to the other people is to be strong and believe, because on the end of each storm is a rainbow, and on the end of each night is a daylight. Yeah, our times are hard, and I understand this fully. But I believe that everything happens for the purpose. And even in the darkness times, we can be humans. And this is the most important. What we need to do, and what is really important, is to erase hate in our own hearts. Don't hate your enemies, because it's easy. And I'm observing this now. We have very, very polarized societies. And even the human rights activists became angry and became hateful. And I'm saying it's not a way. It's not a way to be too polite as well. And sometimes you need to have a weapon in your arms. But for now, we need to look for ourselves. We need to look for our own hearts and decide how we want to create this world full of love, full of compassion, or full of hate. So if we want to understand each other better, if you want to love each other more, we need to understand each other more. So be strong. Be strong in your faith, be strong in your love, and take care about yourself first.
Thank you for these words. There is one last question I want to ask you. Coming from a country that was very vulnerable, going through a war, we had a lot of experience with people who wanted to help, but then they did some things with good intentions, but they didn't actually help, but they made things even worse. So I guess that when some people are watching you and hearing your story, they're thinking about how they could help. So do you have a suggestion for those people who want to help, who have good intentions, what they can do to really help?
First, ask. Before you do anything, before you say anything, ask what we need. Is I can tell you from my professional part, from being a psychologist and therapist, I've never said, oh, you need to do that or that, or my opinion is that or that. The first thing I'm always saying to my patients is, how can I help you? What you need from me? And this is, if you want to be an ally, if you want to help other people, don't come with the suggestions, oh, I know what will be good for you. Come and ask what you need. How can I be helpful? This is the best way, because when I first approached the trans community, for example, I have no knowledge except from my studies. What is a trans community? What is to be a trans person? And I asked, how can I help you? How can I support you? And I became a person who know more and more. Each day I'm learning about that, and each day I know more, and I'm still believe that I'm not expert, because the only expert about being the supportive is the person who needs to be be supported.
Yes.
So always ask first.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what do you need? Or what is it that our listeners and viewers can maybe do to support you if they can?
Yes, they can. Of course, the best way is to send the letters of the support to me and to the court. You can also ask your organizations or your churches to send the official letter of the support, and we can translate it into the Polish and put it into the trial as evidences for the support. So this will help for sure.
Great.
Also, when normally in this time of the year, I would say that, oh, and please come for the equality parade this year into Poland.
Yeah.
But we know what we have now. We have pandemic times.
Yeah.
There will be probably a parade in this year in Poland, but I will not invite you for your own safety. But please support also our organizations. Please support us, and please keep us in prayers and in good thoughts, because we really need that.
So what I will ask you is to provide me with some link or anything, or an email address that people can send these letters to, or whatever a way that they can ask, maybe if they need to send it per snail mail, so they can ask you for the address or whatever, where they can send it to.
I think I can give you I don't know now, or we can
you can do it later, and it will be in the podcast description, so people can click on it. And
I will give you the link to my Facebook profile for my case, so there will be a way to send the letters for me.
Great. So at the end, I actually want to ask a question to you, dear listeners and viewers, and we want to hear also your stories that you can write in the comment section about injustice that you maybe experienced in your countries, in your surroundings, in your towns, or whatever in your life. If you would like to share it with the viewers, and also how you coped with it, you can do so in the comment section. Szymon, thank you so much again for sharing this, for the wisdom you shared, for the suggestions and how we can deal with situations like this. I'm just also touched about how you are dealing and thinking about your enemies, and what you said about, it's easy to hate the enemies and to do or act just the same. I can just agree with you, that violence against violence just creates more violence, and this is that's a constant question, is how can I answer in a way that I come through, but at the same time that I don't use the same way the people who are against me at some point are using. So thank you for your time. I hope that this is not the last time that we'll meet like this, or at least I hope that I'll meet you live one day after the pandemic somewhere.
I hope so.
Yeah, I wish you all the best, and really hope for you and the whole LGBT community in Poland that this will go in favor of you and the LGBT community in Poland.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
And all the strength. And dear viewers and listeners, don't forget to support Szymon with letters of support that you can send from your organization or churches. This can be a great contribution. So, as I said, this podcast is made in partnership with the European Forum of LGBT Christian Groups. You can support this podcast. You can support Shimon. You can support the European Forum. Don't forget about the question. We would like to hear how of some injustices that you experienced and how you dealt with them. This was all from me and from Shimon for today. We'll see you next Monday. And until then, all we can say is bye, everyone.